Hello everyone, Adam here from Three Count Radio, and today I have quite possibly the biggest babyface in the Northwest of wrestling, or Brit Wres in general. Boxer turned wrestler is RPD. How you doing, my friend?
Oh my, very nice introduction, that by the way.
Yeah, I call it as I see it, mate. The reactions you get are absolute insanity.
They're very very good to me. They're fans of nearly all the promotions I work. They're just I'm very very lucky, very very lucky. They're really really good, and yeah, it's a bit of an honour to kind of be able to perform for them.
I can imagine. I can imagine. Yeah, it must be quite a feeling, coming out in front of that.
Yeah, it is. It is. Well, it's the feeling I used to have in my previous career, and wrestling has been like a bit of a savior to me because it's kind of given me that back and then some now, really, because that's kind of evolved itself. So, yeah, very very happy with how things are going.
Good. Good. I'm really, really glad, mate. Really glad. When you were when growing up, was boxing always like the focus for you when you were growing up?
Um, yeah, I mean, boxing was the only option when I was also I thought anyway because I was I mean I've said this before on other things I've been on, but pro wrestling was like my first love. When I was a little kid, I remember watching like Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior and stuff like that, and it was just superheroes kind of come to life. And I was always a big like comic book geek as well as a kid. And so yeah, it just kind of suited me. It suited me, and I loved it. But it kind of almost felt um, for myself as far away as the comic books, if you know what I mean, all the Hollywood movies and that sort of stuff. Because I just thought to be a wrestler, you had to be, gigantic and probably from America and stuff like that as a little kid. And when I was a kid in Blackpool, there was certainly no wrestling schools that I was aware of, or pro wrestling schools that I was aware of or around. I come from quite you know, a poor. It's certainly this is a deprived area in Blackpool where I started from, and with that comes a lot of boxing gyms, and so I was involved in boxing from a pretty early age because of that. My granddad had boxed and my dad had boxed, so it's kind of in the family. But it just kind of got me off the streets really when I was a kid. Got me off the streets and got me into something productive that I could focus my energies on.
That's incredible. Absolutely incredible. But it's quite a feeling, isn't it? When because I'm not gonna say I was the same. I'm not gonna say be able to empathize, but it must be quite a feeling to get that focus, that
Well, yeah,
focal point.
yeah. I think all young people need to have and that's not necessarily fighting, boxing and stuff like that. It could be music, it could be art, it could be dancing. My daughter now, I'd like her to get into kind of dancing and stuff like that because it's certainly it's a much easier way to make a living than getting your face smashed up regularly. But I've got a lot to say about the sport of boxing because it's literally given me every good thing in my life has come from that sport, including wrestling as well because that was kind of that's how I got into pro wrestling. But yeah, I met my girlfriend through boxing, and everything that I've ever done of note kind of came through that sport, and so yeah, I'm very 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 grateful to it.
Incredible. Incredible. I recently had young Leah Raven on not too long ago. She would, as of recording, be my upload before this one.
Yeah,
And what I didn't know was she did boxing.
Yeah. She's done a. I think she told me she's a bit of like MMA and stuff like that as well. Um, but again, I think Leah's going to be kind of a future star herself, isn't she? Really, she's very dedicated, and I've seen bits of what she does in the ring and whatnot, and she's always very very impressive. So yeah,
Mm.
yeah. I think there is a an avenue for bringing that them sort of kind of realistic combat sports, or at least parts of them, into a pro wrestling arena now. I think you're seeing that with like obviously Brock Lesnar, and I think maybe there's always been an aspect to it. There's always been an aspect to it, Ronda Rousey and whatnot. But when you go back further than that, you had like Ken Shamrock and Dan Severn and people like that. So I think there's definitely an angle to bring in, that sort of like real world sport into the world of sports entertainment that we do, and I think if it's done right, it's a way of standing out.
Totally agree. I totally agree because it brings that air of realism
Mm,
that this person has come from a brutal, what could be what could be a brutal, what is a legitimate sport,
yeah, yeah.
and it brings that sense of realism.
Oh yeah, of course it does. And you know, uh, again going back to pro wrestling, I mean, pro wrestling is brutal. It's absolutely brutal, and I mean this when I say it. I respect pro wrestling and pro wrestlers, men and women, very very much, because I know how hard it is. I know the little injuries I've picked up already in the short time I've been doing it. And I know how tough you've got to be to be in this business. And a lot of the guys and girls that I've got to know over the time in it are very very tough people. And I hold my hat up to them, because it is a very 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 hard sport on your body. Is pro wrestling. But what I was kind of implying with the the legitimate combat sports, how we can maybe incorporate that into pro wrestling. It's just as literally just something as a way of standing out, and making things a little bit different. So we're not seeing the same match over and over and over and over again.
Yeah,
But in some of these concepts I think it just freshens things up a little bit.
couldn't agree more. Couldn't
Yeah,
agree more. Like they say opposites attract, and in wrestling, you
yeah,
couldn't that couldn't be
yeah.
more true in
No,
wrestling.
definitely. It's a different style, isn't it? It's a different style that not only do all the other wrestlers have to adapt to, but so does the whoever the combat is who's coming in to do it. They have to adapt to pro wrestling as well. So I think there's a story to be told there. In itself, really. Of how he combats, the pro wrestling style, which obviously would be. Certainly be a challenge for anybody who's coming to something new. You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah,
100%. I agree. I agree. It's that's it. That is pro wrestling. It's a story to be told, and it's where you're gonna get those angles and those little niches from.
yeah, definitely, definitely.
So I was talking to Leah, and I asked her what the biggest what was the biggest change in transition from um boxing to pro wrestling. Like, what was the biggest or hardest thing you thought in your mind in changing from one to the other? And she said your mindset.
Yeah.
Just curious to hear your side of this as well.
Yeah, no. I mean that's more or less bang on.
Mm.
But boxing, and would obviously I've not done it to any level, but MMA and other combat sports like that. Um, they're selfish sports, and what I mean by that is that it's down to you and how you perform, and that's kind of it. When I went into one of my pro fights, I didn't really care about the guy who I was fighting. didn't really pay much attention to how he fought or anything. I'd studied a little bit to kind of see how I would try and kind of use my skills against his. But on the great whole, it was more about what I was going to do. And I wanted him to be kind of more wary of me than I was of him. You know what I mean? So that was the only thing that went through my mind. Me going in there and me putting my performance on. Now that's how it works in pro wrestling, because no matter how good I can perform on the night, if I'm not, in sync with my opponent and we're not working together in the right way, it won't be that it will not be a good match, And that's what wrestling is for me. I want to be a successor, obviously, but I want to be a success as a team as well. I want the promotions that I perform for to be successful. I want the whole show, not just my match, the whole show to be successful, because that's how we get more bums in seats next time, and that's how we kind of progress to the next stage and getting, keeping this role going. Because at the end of the day, we all want to perform to sold out crowds, don't we? We want atmospheres and people loving what they're seeing and wanting, desperately to come back. And so that is a team effort. That isn't a singular effort. That's a team effort. No matter how good one person is, it needs everyone pulling in the same rope direction for that to happen.
Massively agree there. Massively agree. It's unlike anything else. It's unlike anything else, pro wrestling. It's one of those. You're watching people brutally beat the shit out of each other, pretty much, but at the same time, putting together to create this compelling, amazing story.
Yeah, of course, and trying to do it in the most protected way that we can do it, and work together to put on a story and a spectacle that the fans are really going to kind of, like you say, invest and lose themselves for a second in it. Blur that line of what is real and what is not real, and really kind of get invested in what they're seeing in front of them, and thus want to pay to come back. I mean, there is nothing like wrestling. I've loved it since a little kid, but since getting into it myself, it's given me a whole new level of love for it, because I understand more, certainly not all, but I understand more of the intricacies now of what makes it so special, and what the sum of its parts to come together to make such a great night of entertainment for people.
Yeah, it's that moment when you start training, and the more you train, the more you learn.
Yeah.
That side of you that loved it before, that's gone. Because the more you learn about wrestling, you look at it in a completely different way now, don't you?
But no less compelling. Like, it might have taken a little bit of the mystique away from of it from me when I've started doing it. But I find it so interesting. I find every part of it interesting. I find the matches interesting. I find the production interesting. I find everything, how it all comes together. To put, as I say, not just put one single match on that's really good, but a whole show of matches. And their placement on the cards and whatnot, and yeah, just a really interesting and exciting thing to be a part
of. I agree, completely agree. I've got something I wanted to ask, and it's just one of those very simple question, but I'm just curious personally. Yeah. Of all time, who's your favorite boxer?
My favorite boxer, God, probably growing up, the favorite was Evander Holyfield.
Okay.
Evander was he was always the kind of perennial underdog. Was Evander, great fighter, but he always fought guys who were much bigger than him, like Riddick Bowe or Lennox Lewis, or even although he wasn't much bigger than him, when he fought Mike Tyson, at the time Mike Tyson was the most feared man on the planet, and so when that fight got announced, there was actually people saying that that Evander might die in the ring with him and all that sort of stuff. And I always remember as a kid kind of watching that and thinking, God, this is a bit like wrestling because there's a story and how we're getting invested in, you know. And the thing about Evander was he was so brave. He never showed any sort of fear towards Mike Tyson, which is probably the reason why the result went the way it did, and Evander beat him. He wasn't to be scared by Mike Tyson, and that kind of always kind of stuck with me as a little kid because I think we all want to see the underdog overcome the odds. You know what I mean? And that was like a real life version of Rocky, or even a real life version of all the pro wrestling that I'd watched right throughout my childhood. So yeah, Evander, I would say, is my favorite boxer.
I'm a massive sucker for an underdog myself, so I can't disagree with you there.
No, no,
So when I look back, it's like I'm a massive RD fan. You know, look back and look at him talking smack.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like in terms of talking,
yeah,
I he's a marvel,
yeah. One
an
of the
absolute marvel.
promo, wasn't he? One of the originators of the promo. So yeah, no, I mean, Muhammad Ali was an unbelievable boxer, but just an unbelievable man. I mean, the things he did outside of boxing as well. In regards to all the good causes that he gave to, and what he stood for as a man with, when he declined Vietnam and all that sort of stuff. Incredible, just an incredible man. But yeah, I think we always get behind people who kind of stand up against the establishment, and that would lead to pro wrestling, because that's kind of why, one of my big heroes growing up in wrestling was obviously Stone Cold Steve Austin, who was the ultimate anti-establishment guy. And yeah, I think that is a story that kind of sucks people in, because they want to see the underdog, or the anti-hero, if you will, kind of fight against the powers that be, and triumph eventually.
Yeah, Steve Austin, like you never. I mean, in real life, you can't exactly punch your boss in the face.
No,
So people gather
like,
on.
we'd like to though, wouldn't we?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, to be fair, I say that. I say that. My bosses are actually really sweet.
Oh right, great. There you go.
I'm very lucky to have the bosses I've got, to be fair.
Well,
Uh,
my boss is my dad, so I shouldn't really say that, but I mean, he's made me do, in terms of training, he's made me do some god awful things over the years. So yeah, I'd love to punch him in the face, but
oh, it's getting heated. We're getting real now.
again, I'm only joking. He's my best friend. He's my best friend, but yeah, he's put me through the ringer for years. He's put me through the ringer for years. So I bet payback would be nice down the line.
Get it sold, pay-per-view. um, what would you say the difference would be with the fans, between from boxing to professional wrestling?
Um, I mean, that's a very good question, really. I mean, I think they're both, in terms of similarities, they're both very passionate. Both fan bases are very passionate, and the boxing fans are very, very, very passionate. But I couldn't say that they're more passionate than the wrestling fans, because it's they absolutely love it. I think it's more sort of out of expectation more than anything. That's the difference. A boxing fans there really for blood, guts, and thunder, if you will. And they're possibly a little bit more unforgiving than the wrestling fans as well, I would say, because boxing so relies on victory and winning, all the time. And one loss now is seen as like the worst thing in the world, and that you go from being a really great fighter to a bum almost if you lose a fight, which is so untrue. but that's how armchair fans kind of can see it sometimes. Whereas obviously pro wrestling scene is completely different, and I think if you can win the pro wrestling fans over, they're with you for the journey, not for one single match. So they want to watch how the story unfolds, and they want to see how it goes. And if you get some losses down the line and on the road, they're with you because they want to see that kind of that climb again to get back to where you need to get to.
I don't think I could have heard a better answer to that. I actually, yeah, I completely see where you're coming from with that. Yeah. So I had the absolute pleasure of seeing um the Ahmed Khan card,
Yeah, yeah,
like watching that VIP live,
yeah,
massive pleasure. And because we're on Bolton FM and we had him on interviewing him, so they invited us. And watching it live, the fans were just they were unglued.
yeah, yeah.
It was passion for their hometown people, pure
Oh, yeah,
passion.
definitely.
But I agree, I completely agree with the Western fans because it's a different dynamic, isn't it? It's a different aspect.
Absolutely love the wrestling fans. I'll be honest with you, that's the main reason I do it now. It may have only been like a one match and done thing had it not been for the kind of the buzz I got from and that's purely to do with the crowd and the fans, and they've been so supportive in what I've done, and they've kind of given me something that I didn't know that I was lacking and or had missed as much as I did, and that really kind of spurred me on to kind of put my all into this wrestling and do my very certainly get to the highest level that I am capable of getting to. That's the aim now, anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And when we speak of fans, as I said in my intro, it would be absolutely remiss if I didn't mention the Odyssey fans because
Oh,
oh my god.
incredible, Morecambe. I got told when I first kind of got scouted, if you will, by the runners of Odyssey, and they asked they were interested. They were the first company actually that was interested in me during the lockdown period when we all closed down, because I'd worked purely for Grand Pro Wrestling up until that point, and I'd done a few other little companies and whatnot, but my mainstay was wrestling, and then we locked down and wrestling just disappeared. Obviously with everything that was going on, and I didn't know whether I'd made a big enough impact in the year I'd been doing it, to kind of when wrestling did return, which happened to be nearly 2 years later, that I would get anywhere, or that people would have heard of me or know of me or whatnot. But I got contacted by Odyssey, the guys who ran it, and they told me beforehand that we'd love to have you over in Morecambe. We've seen what we've done, and we think we could do something with you in Morecambe, but there isn't anywhere like Morecambe. That's what they said to me, and I said, yeah, 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 of course. And I mean, I've boxed and wrestled all over the country, loads of places, and some very very hostile environments as well. When boxing days, but when they said there's no place like Morecambe, I kind of laughed it off. But there really is no place like Morecambe. Like, they absolutely live for pro wrestling, and for me, it's certainly one of my most favourite places to go and wrestle, because they make that night so good every single time.
It's magic.
Oh, unbelievable, unbelievable.
You opened the show, and when I heard your music, when I heard that your match was going first, I was like, this is a bold choice.
Yeah,
Very bold.
yeah,
Like, start the crowd massive. But then with the with how busy your night was,
Yeah,
I understand.
yeah.
I understand.
As I recall, you quite a few times that night, didn't they? Okay.
Yeah, quite a few times, yes.
Yeah. It's like an episode of Stars in Your Eyes. I just kept going down there and coming back out, didn't
And tonight I will be.
I?
Your match though, your match it stuck in my head. Your match with Two Bit, we were on
Yeah,
about Styles earlier. Two Bit instantly went on his back and
yeah,
invited you.
yeah,
That clash of styles, because you're a boxer, aren't you? Use
yeah,
predominantly on your feet. That
yeah.
clash of styles was perfect.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, it was a bit of a throwback, really. That's a kind of your man Musa before Muhammad Ali and Antonio Inoki. That's how when they had their kind of hybrid match thing.
Yeah.
That's how it went, and that's what I mean. That's kind of the magic in what I can what I'm able to try and do now is because my style has to match up against various different wrestling styles. And you mentioned Two Bit before. I mean, what a talent Two Bit! Unbelievable wrestler, and a great character, and just got the whole package. I think is Two Bit. But anyway, I digress. That match, I think was yeah. Again, it stood out. I think on that card because it was so different. It was just a different sort. It wasn't your typical wrestling match. Not that there's anything wrong with a typical wrestling match, but I think pro wrestling is a variety act, and I think to do it right, it's nice to have a few little changes on there so that when it mixes your card up a little bit, and I think that's what certainly on that card, that's what our match was, a bit of a hybrid match, a bit of a different take on pro wrestling, and yeah, the crowd loved it, and we had a good match, enjoyed it.
Yeah, yeah, it was fantastic. I very, very much enjoyed it because I really enjoyed the as you said, the hybrid, the styles and the story being told.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
as you say, Two Bit, for someone so young as well, it's
unbelievable. Yeah, he's a
yeah,
unreal talent. Like you say, he's only young, so God knows where he's gonna go. But I would imagine very high. Yeah, he's excellent competitor, and yeah, I really enjoyed that match because it was like the classic striker versus grappler sort of match, where he kind of tried to negate my punches by keeping me grounded and keeping obviously my joints under a lot of intense pressure and whatnot. And yeah, it was good. It was good. And as I say, the crowd in Morecambe are always hot, but they were particularly hot for that because they really wanted to see how the story would unfold and would I be able to kind of overcome the holes I was being put in and get back to my feet to start landing my strikes again.
yeah, yeah. It was brilliantly told, and I I don't mean this. This is for any show across the world anywhere, even a WWE show. But it's quite a commonplace for the fans to have a little bit of a dip and then get back up because crowd can get tired.
Yeah, of course.
But more that especially that Morecambe show,
Yeah, they didn't.
just
No.
a level. The entire time it only went up. There was no dip.
Start, they start here, which is really high, and you think, God, they've got to cut, and they somehow end here. They just go up. It's
Mm.
incredible how they do it. But yeah, I love wrestling in Morecambe. I love wrestling in Morecambe, and I've got to know a lot of the fans now, and yeah, it's just a bit of a special place, I think.
Agreed. It is special, very, very special, and it's one of those. When I go with my mum, we like to make a day of it.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
it's nice. It's
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
But you I believe you made your debut for Futureshock not long ago too.
I did, yeah, which was also a big honor because I make no bones about it. After lockdown, I've been out of a ring, a pro wrestling ring for nearly 2 years. It was 18 months, even longer maybe. By the time I got back, and the first place I went was to Futureshock PC, and with Sam Bailey, who I knew Sam anyway. I'd done little bits with him before. Um, in other training schools and stuff like that. But as soon as I could get back, I'd noticed what he was doing. Once his classes had resumed, and I got myself booked in straight away. And to be honest, that's been kind of a constant to me, that the Futureshock PC now since lockdown ended. And I just find it so beneficial. And Sam has been such a great help to me, and really tried to help me kind of develop as a wrestler as well. Because although I'm a striker and I have my own niche thing, I need to be safe in there, and I need to know what I'm doing in there and whatnot. And Sam's been phenomenal in that way. And then on the flip side to that, I wasn't wrestling, to try and stay in the game and obviously improve from home, which is pretty hard to do. But the way I tried to improve from home, there, I kind of did a lot of the promo classes with Chris Brooker, which again was completely new to me at the time, because I've never really done anything like that. And I loved it. I really loved it. And me and him come up with some really good ideas, I thought, for my character going forward, which I've kind of really tried to run with, since we've got back to wrestling. And that's actually built and built and built, like the whole natural born fighter, and my tag team were born ready with Rick Marcus and stuff like that. So a lot of them ideas kind of got born within the lockdown period, and come from really the Futureshock PC. So yeah, a lot of gratefulness to them, for the help they've given me.
Yeah, because you and I knew each other from social media on Twitter, things like that. You've been a big you've shared a lot of my posts around when uploaded,
Yeah,
and it will always be appreciated, my friend.
yeah,
Always.
no
Um,
problem.
the first time we officially met was the Future Shock entrance class,
Oh yeah, yeah, I remember. Yeah,
and you shook my we shook hands, and you're halfway through getting changed.
I don't remember that bit, but yeah, oh, no, I would imagine. Yeah,
Yeah, I remember Bailey calling it out. Ah, well, but it's the I've
Haley loves to laugh at my expense. It's his favourite thing. He loves to laugh at my expense, which is fine.
it's Bailey, and honestly, I've given him plenty of reason to laugh at my expense, to be honest. But again, to be fair, it doesn't take much to laugh at my expense. I'm a it just happens all the time for me. So
Yeah,
um, Brooker's promo classes, I don't think there's anyone better. I really don't think there's anyone better.
I've really enjoyed him. Really, really enjoyed him, and he's passed on a lot of knowledge that I've tried my best to use, in both, filmed promos that I've done since then, which, to be fair, up until that point I'd never done, and obviously in ring promos now as well. He got me when I first went to Chris. He said, first thing I need to sort with you is you're talking like Christian Bale in Batman, and to be fair, that is stuck in my head. The second he said that to me, that is stuck in my head, because I was speaking like Christian Bale in Batman, but what it was is I had this kind of preconceived notion that that's what wrestlers talk like, you put a voice on, or you try to put a tough voice on, if you will, or whatever. And Chris was the first to say to me, like, when I got interviewed after fights and stuff like that, after a boxing match, and I was put on the internet and on TV and stuff like that, like, how did I talk? And I said to him, I talk like this. I talk like this. And he said, well, then talk like that. He said, because that's you. He said, they'll believe in you, not some, you know, preconceived idea of what you think they want from you. He said they want you, to be you, and be that character. So I'm lucky that my character isn't a Viking or something like that, or a dragon slayer or something like that. So I am just me. I'm just me turned up a little bit. And so yeah, I've kind of gone off that ever since he said that. And in all fairness, my promos have improved a lot since that time.
Yeah, it's extremely easy, isn't it? Because you can be calm, composed, yourself, no
Yeah,
issues, no problems. As soon as you're put in front of that camera, go.
yeah,
You're somebody else completely. Your mind, gone.
can do. Yeah,
It's so easy. It's
yeah,
so easy.
yeah,
Too many times that at promo class, like, right, okay, I've got this, this, and this. I've got to do this and say this and say this. Three, two,
yeah. Blank.
mm.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. And I think I certainly was guilty of that at the start. But again, I think a part of that is what Chris had touched on. It was because I was trying to be something I'm not. And so when you are poorly acting, that's quite hard. Whereas when you're speaking with some truths, and some realness of what you actually feel, I think that's easier. It's like this. You now talking to you now is very very easily, but I'm not thinking about it. I'm just going back and forward with you, which is an easy conversation. Whereas I think once you get inside your own head, trying to make a promo, and try and be something that you're not, I think your purpose is going to make it hard for yourself.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I agree. There
yeah,
has to be a big element of you involved.
yeah,
Um, is there anywhere else you'd like to debut for?
yeah. I have to say it's probably the best way because it would sound. I don't want it to sound like arrogant or anything like that
No.
because in it that way, but I don't think so. No, and the reason for that is I know a lot of the British wrestling scene, really want to get on every show and I've been really lucky. I mean, like since I came back, Odyssey was the first company to approach me. I got on with them, and that's took off for me there. Then Wrestle Island approached me, which obviously I'd seen a lot of good stuff. And more importantly, I'd seen the kind of stuff they were doing with the community and stuff, which is a big pull for me, because it gives me a chance to do something good with this as well, rather than just for myself. I can actually feel like I'm doing some good in the world while I get to kind of live out this childhood dream, if you will. So they were the second one, and then that took off for me. Very quickly after that, I got approached by Superstar Pro Wrestling, which then evolved into me joining TNT, which was a huge one for me, because I'd always wanted to I'd gone to see them live and everything like that. And the next thing, I'm on their shows, and then that took off for me. And then in the meantime of that, I'd also got to know people at the Odyssey shows backstage. One of those was the booker at the Kingdom of Wrestling in Southport. He'd become a good friend of mine, and he asked me whether I'd be interested in doing it. Straight away, I jumped on that, and I've loved it there. Absolutely loved it there. I jumped on Knockout in Barrow, which is a company that's been going for many many years, and that's due to my connection with Rick. When I got to know Rick Marcus, who we do a bit of tagging together and whatnot. He's from that area, and he kind of put me into touch with them, and I've absolutely loved every show I've done with them. So I'm pretty busy, and then to top all it off, Sam asked me if I could where I'd like to debut on a Futureshock show, which was obviously a great honor because I know how many people really want to wrestle for Futureshock because they're great and the shows are great. But also, I kind of felt like I wanted to do it because of how much help Chris Chris and Sam had given me, in the build up to getting back into a ring. So it felt like a thing that I wanted to do, more as a way of thanking them for all the help they've given me. And that's kind of taken off as well. So yeah, I'm kind of as busy as I want to be, if you know what I mean, Adam.
I don't think that comes off as arrogant. Everyone's different,
Yeah,
and if you're happy and content,
but yeah.
then I don't think that's arrogant. That's
No, I don't.
You're content, you're happy.
There's so many. I mean, there's some phenomenal promotions now. Never mind in Britain. I mean, in just the northwest that I'm not on. It's just I don't want to dilute what I am either. I don't want to dilute what I am. It's like I've got five or six companies there that I can play my role, play my part in, and I can still make it feel like an attraction. That is my attempt, that it's an attraction when I'm on. Whereas if I'm wrestling Friday, Saturday, Sunday every week, that this I, I'm just diluting. I'm diluting that appeal that the minute I seem to have, and I'm trying to keep that momentum going. So that's all it is. It's like I'm really happy with the companies I'm working for. I'm proud of the companies I work for, and I just want to keep kind of pushing that way. I know one day Grand Pro Wrestling will come back, and Johnny, who got me into pro wrestling, I'll be there at the drop of an hat for him because there would be no me in wrestling up until that time. So then obviously that'll make me busier again. I have there is another company I will be working for, but that's been set up for a while. So I'm not going to spoil that. But there is another company I'm going to work for, and then I am really busy. So in terms of any other promotions that I would take on, like for me, the only ones I can see myself like really desperately pushing to try and get on, or if the opportunity came and I got the chance to go on, and would be something like a Progress or an ICW. And this isn't a pitch to get on there. I don't mean it that way. It's just that would be the next step for me, if you know what I mean. Like to be able to say that I had been on like the WWE network and stuff like that. That's a bucket list, bucket list goal ticked off. So I would be lying to say if one of those companies, didn't approach me and say, would I be interested? Of course I would. But in terms of local Northwest companies that I work for now, I'm really happy with what I've got, and I'm proud of the companies I work for. And I just want to do my very best to not only improve me every time I'm out there, but kind of really do my very best to enhance them products so that they continue to do well, and thus I do well off that. If you know what I mean.
Completely, yeah,
Yeah.
right there with you on it. Yeah, I don't think that makes you arrogant at all. Not at all. Completely agree. Actually, it's at the end of the day, it's down to you. You're busy with work as well. You're a father as well, so
I've got a little girl at home. I run my own business. I've got my own boxing gym that I've run for the last 7 years. I'm older than the majority now. I'm 35, which is old to get into pro wrestling. I got into pro wrestling when I was 32 year old, and so it's a really late start. But I've loved it. And my body's healthy, and I haven't taken shitloads of bumps for years, and so in a lot of ways, although I'm 35, I'm young at 35. So yeah, it's just about let's see where I can go in the next couple of years. That's how I'm kind of looking. Everything for me is always short term. I don't look too far ahead in the future. It's about this year has been brilliant so far. and 22 has been everything I wanted out of pro wrestling. I've kind of got exactly where I want in every company. I've progressed, and that is down to, if I'm being honest, the crowd, and the support that I've had. Because without them, this wouldn't be happening. It wouldn't be happening. But they kind of have elevated me into positions that when during the lockdown would have seemed nowhere completely unreachable for me. But they've kind of put me into them positions, which I'm so grateful for. And so now it's just about, let's see if we can top that in 2023, and that will be the aim. That will be the aim.
I've absolutely no doubt that you will. No doubt at all.
Thank you, mate.
Is there anything you'd like to plug? Any socials, any shows?
No, all my socials. I think what am I on Twitter? I think I'm RPD Fighter on Twitter, and then I'm just RP Davis on Instagram, and I'm Ryan Paul Davis on Facebook. So that's what I mean. A lot of people there's been question marks to what the RP stand for, but again, it's not like just my name. Ryan Paul is my name. So yeah, So that's it really. Obviously, if anyone wants to follow and kind of follow the journey, great. And that's it.
Well, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me on, mate. I love what you're doing, and you said before about sharing your stuff and whatnot. But we're all in this together. Or we should be anyway, because stuff like this gets more eyes on promotions and products and things doing and shows. And I'm someone who I want to be involved in big shows, and I want to be involved in shows that there's a lot of people there, and not only are there a lot of people there, there's a lot of people there that then want to pay again to come again next time to carry on what we're doing. And that's how we all win. So yeah, no, I'll always share any of your stuff, mate, because I think you're helping, and I think anything that can shine a light on what we do can only help and give us all a bit more of a platform.
Thank you so much. That's my aim.
My
There's
pleasure, mate.
A lot of negative in wrestling over the years, so it's nice to just my aim anyways to try and bring a bit of positive.
Yeah, 100%. You've got to. I think. I mean, I've seen that as well. There is elements of negative within pro wrestling, but I think you've got to try and although to take it forward and see what's happening there, I think it's also really important to try and stay as positive as you can, and make pro wrestling better. That's it. Make British pro wrestling better in any way that you can, and if that's by putting positive things out there, and promoting the right way and promoting the right companies that are doing the right things, then that can only help.
I agree. Couldn't agree more. Thank you so much.
No,
Thank
my
you for
pleasure.
coming on.
No, mate, I appreciate it.
See you later.
All right, man.